Hello everyone, I'm Nina Mori, and today I'm going to do a continuation of my sewing adventures. So in the first video I did the finding the materials, then I made this long sleeve shirt for her. So today I'm going to use the pattern pieces I made for this outfit, and I'm going to make her an outer crop top to go on top of this shirt. So let's see how this goes. So here I have like a cropped jacket, and so I'm going to go ahead and use these pieces to cut that out and then cut down the sleeve because it's dropping a little bit lower. So that way I can save myself time instead of having to measure her out again, and I'll know for sure that it fits over this exact top. So I'm going to get the fabric for that. Okay, so I really like the idea of my outer coat being made out of this material, but I only have scraps, so I have to be very careful about how I cut this out, and it will be as short as the scraps are, which kind of works out because since it's cropped just below the bust, it doesn't need to be long. So I'm actually going to keep the selvage. So this end of the fabric here, this is where they usually have it hooked to the machines and they start weaving the fabric together and doing all the work on it. So this always has this rough look to it, but I like that for the purpose of her character looking like she is living in a forest and it kind of gets scruffed up. So I'm going to keep that, and I'm going to have my pattern end on here. So if I'm going to trace my pattern pieces and use the same one, I'm going to have it end at that spot just below her bust. So I'm going to line this up at the top, and so this is just going to be how long the overcoat is. So I need a front and a back, but since this doesn't really have a neckline that's different, it's just straight across, I'm just going to use this same piece instead of using a different one. I'm going to line these up again. So I'm cutting out the whole piece, and then I will subtract from it the fabric to get everything I need from this. So I have this pieces together, and then I'm going to get the sleeves. I'm going to use some scrap for that. So I'm just going to raise this a bit more because I have this sort of off the shoulder, so I don't really need the full curve of the shoulder. Like, this is the best part of working and sewing for dolls, is because you can use the smallest amount of fabric and still make something with it. So scraps are great for them, and remnants always work, so it's really cool to have a small model to work with. Okay, so I have the sleeves. So that's just going to cover a portion of her. that's about as wide as I want it. And then, so when I sew this together, I actually don't need all of this. So I have this. I'm going to line up my curve that I cut out. So I start from there, sort of roll it together. And so my curve ends about here. So that's about where the end of the sleeve is. So I'm going to just, so I know where I can cut that off. So it's sort of like cutting off the yoke of a pattern piece, that upper part where the neckline is. And so my arm piece will fit in like this. And you'll sort of just tuck your arm into it. So this may actually be pretty wide for her arm since I want it to be closer to her body. So I may not need even this much fabric for the sleeve, so I can cut away from this as well. This is when you start sort of experimenting with your patterns. So I see this is my armhole. And you line them up. You follow this measurement. It's about 5 inches. So about 1.5. So that's about 3 inches, and then I need 2 more inches, so I'm going to have 1 inch on each side. So I know my piece is going, so all of this is going to be sewn, and then this is what's going around her shoulder. And so at that point, I can see where this should end. So this will be sewn there, and then this is how much is around her shoulder. So that's going to be a wide sleeve. So I may not need all of that. That's why I can take away from her. Yeah, I'm gonna cut some of that away, because that's a lot of extra fabric. So I'm just going to shift over my curve. And do it about here. So where that other line is, I'm gonna put it, fold it over. And I'm just gonna trace this back out. So I'm getting rid of this much. And I'm gonna do the same for the other piece. So just shifting over my curve so that my sleeve will be shorter. Okay. So now that I have these pieces together, I do have a feature in here. So this line here, I'm actually going to use some trim that I have. I'm going to put that on the front of it. So after I've finished these edges here, I'm going to sew this on top. I'm going to sew it on first and then serge these edges. So you'll see this process. Okay, so for the next portion, I'm going to make the crop top. So I actually looked at it on the pieces of fabric, and I think I like it more centered than off to the side, just because it looks better aesthetically. When I laid down, it looks cool, but when I put it on her, I think it looked better in the center. So I'm going to stitch this on top of my front piece, and then I can put it under the serger. So I'm going to line this up in the middle. I'm just going to go through the edges, go through the edge and just sew along that line. So this end blends rather well with the serging and the selvage. So I have this sewn on here. Now I can serge around the edges and cut this extra part off. So when I do this, since this piece doesn't have any shoulders, I have to connect the side seams first. So since this is my back piece, I'm going to sew these sides together. And so my armhole will be this way. And I have to line up my shoulder pieces with it. So I'm going to do this together. Okay, so I'm going to sew these sides together. Make sure that when you turn it over, so this is facing, the outside is facing each other, and I'm working on the inside. So it should look like that, sewn together. And then I'll do the other side. So now I have the bodice, and I need to attach the sleeves. So the sleeves also need to be closed too. So I'm going to go ahead and do the bottom of the sleeve, and then I'll close it. So there's my sleeve. I'll do the other one. Now I can attach these together, and then I will serge the top of it. So I have to line these up because that curve needs to match this curve. So I'm going to match my center seams together, or no, my side seams in this case. And I'm going to match the curve up, follow it to the edge, and I'll start from there. This is just like the other sleeve where you're following the curve. So it should look like this. So that's my sleeve, because I followed the U. And I'm doing the same with the other sleeve. So this doesn't quite match up because I need to still serge off the top of this. So I'm going to go around it. So I sewed the sleeves a little closer to the top, and now I'm going to go around this edge here, but I'm going to make sure I cut off this excess. I'm going to cut into it. So if you don't have a serger, you'll just do that with your scissors, and then you'll do the same fold over twice method that we used for the other shirt. So there I have it, my crop top overshirt. And so this is going to be off the shoulders more. And so I'm going to finish the edges here and around the collar. And then this one will be done. So it may be a little loose, because I know this is fitting on top of her other shirt, but you can also, if you want, you can slice it down the back and then you can sew snaps in there so that you can close it tighter in the back if you want. So I'm going to go around and fold over the edges just like I did for the other shirt. So in the sleeve, I'm going to fold over to the inside. So I went through around the whole edge. So now that is the top that's gonna go on. And when I do my embellishments, I do want to do some hand stitching along the borders so it can make it more cool. So this is the shirts on her. So I have the long sleeve shirt that's sort of a wide collar for her head to go through. Then I have the slits on the side. And then I have her crop top. So my next step would be to add the embellishments and to do the pants in the next video. I will show that process and then have all of her accessories done as well. So I will see you guys next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.